and welcome to another episode of Top Flight Unfiltered with me, Stacey Smith, and as ever, I am joined by the lovely Christopher Parr.
I'm lovely now, yes.
Promotion.
Actually, Christopher as well.
I know, I'm so formal. And Mr. Rich Morell is a doctor. Is your title?
No, it's not. It's not. Nah, plastic.
Okay.
Yeah, fake. I'm a fake.
Gents, how about you?
You go first. You're lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
You've been given that title already today.
Yeah, I would like to be running more, but wouldn't we all?
Oh, yeah.
I'm good. I'm good, yeah. I'm good. 16 mile the weekend.
Gosh, get in. Got Magaluf coming up the weekend.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Story.
Big stag doing a few days in Magaluf, so, got to try and shred them last few pounds to get that body fat below 30%. So, yeah, I'm rocking and rolling.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I haven't been running, I would say. I've been, shuffling. It's like one step down from jogging.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Been there a few years as well. It's a dark place.
Do you know what would really help you get from a shuffle to a Sprint?
Go on then.
Some performance enhancement drugs.
Absolutely.
Probably the only thing that would get me there at the minute.
I am thinking about maybe contacting them and getting you entered. So just to let you know, folks, we are going to be discussing a couple of great topics today. The Enhanced Games is coming up. Well, it's been in the news recently, obviously, but we do have the Enhanced Games that's launching next year in Las Vegas in May, and we're going to do a bit of a deep dive in it. Enhanced Games, guys. What do you think?
Hate it, idiots.
Right. Okay. Is that it? Wrapped up. Done.
So we spoke about this a year or so ago with Cameron and Rich as well. And it was when there was a lot of noise being generated, and a lot of people were saying that people should just have a free for all. They should be able to do what they want. Or other people would be saying, they cheat anyway. So what's the difference with this? But I guess I don't normally have my phone out here, right? But the reason that drugs are banned in sport is because it's dangerous, right? It's very bad for the athletes. So you could have people dropping dead by engaging in this. I know they said they've got doctors involved and stuff, but the reason why performance-enhancing drugs are banned, according to WADA, so you've got three reasons. One, they enhance your performance. That's a given. And people would say, you can take other supplements. You can have protein, you can have creatine, you can have this, that, and the other. Okay, but it has to fulfill at least two of these. So is it given a performance enhancement pharmaceutically? Two, is it a health risk? So is it an actual or a potential health risk to the athlete? So what they're doing, loading people up with steroids, obviously it increases the risk of having heart attacks, things like that, or EPO increases the risk of having a blood clot, heart attack, dying, violating the spirit of the sport. So this is the one where it's to do with ethics, it's to do with fair play. This isn't open to everybody. I guess at least they are using doctors. They're not just doing it on the black market. Yeah. But this hits all three of them things, right? So that's the reason that that performance-enhancing drugs are banned in the first place. And for me, it's just we know that the drugs work. So all this is going to prove is that the drugs work. It's a bit of a freak show. Am I bothered about somebody running 9.4 for 100 meters with unlimited amount of drugs? Personally, probably not. I don't know about you.
I agree with the majority of your points there, and I'm on the same page as you. The sentiment is there that I don't agree with it from an ethical point of view. Also, an athlete welfare point of view, and for me, one of the things that digs at me a little bit is the influence that it may have on, say, junior athletes coming through the sport that might think, you know what, I want to go down of getting involved in the Enhanced Games because I'm going to get 500k if I win a medal there, and if I break a world record, I'm sure the prize money is $1 million for a world record as well.
It is.
So then I think, do you have potentially younger, easily influenced athletes gravitating towards that? That's a little bit of a concern to me as well. The way I differ from you slightly on it is that I do have some intrigue about the performances. Like, I am curious to see how quick someone is going to go. I'm also intrigued to see the calibre of athletes. I know we've got some, it seems to be swimmers at the moment that are venturing into it, and ones that have been at the top of the game that have either finished in their peak in clean sport and have moved into it. I'm really intrigued to see are you going to get any clean athletes that are in the peak performance, peak of their powers now in the clean sport going, you know what, I'm not jumping the enhanced games because I'm 100-metre sprinter and I think I can run 9.3 if I'm geared up.
Yeah.
That intrigues me about it. So there's a slight difference.
Yeah, I would say I'm intrigued to see what they can do. They have come out and said that actually one of their arguments is that it would reduce harm. So obviously we've had so many examples in the past, situations such as under the German regime, the Chinese regime, where athletes have been seriously impacted by this, whether it is some athletes it's actually resulted in death by taking performance enhancing substances, but these are all circumstances where everything was done underground, everything was kept secret. There perhaps wasn't those scientists overviewing the protocols, things like this. And then we've had some athletes actually having to have, female athletes actually having to have a sex change because of the impacts that it's had upon them. But one of their arguments is that it actually reduces the harm and risk to athletes because that everything is overseen by medical supervision.
Yeah, so I get that, and I think that their tagline as well is they're wanting to see superhuman performances aided with sports science advancement or sports tech advancement. So I do get that what they're saying as well, and they're gonna present that argument because they want to sell their games. So they're not going to go, we know this is dodgy and we know this isn't cool, but we're still going to have a go anyway. So they're going to put that forward. I would then sort of come back at that and go, well, if you've got this pool of athletes that are all dirty, some of them are going to want to be a little bit dirtier than others to get a foothold further up in the market and win that 500k and win that million. So you might be overseeing whatever stuff you've got them on or whatever they're doing, but how do you know that they're not going away to their training camp and overloading other things in that might contradict what they're getting from the doctors that are overseeing them there? It's so much of a minefield. There'll be people that'll watch this and go, well, I totally don't agree with what you're just saying. I think they're going to do X, Y, and Z. It's a minefield when you get into something like this. It
is. The other thing that they have noted is clean athletes can participate in the enhanced games. You don't have to be on a doping program with their scientists. So you could have the likes of some Olympians or athletes that absolutely do not agree with taking performance-enhancing drugs at all, but they could compete in the enhanced games. Say if someone wants to aim for a PB and they're like, well, you know what, that 100 metres, I'm not really receiving any much competition around me. I'm going to get involved in the enhanced games because I think actually I can get a PB.
Imagine if you're like Morkatia now, surfing his ban. Yeah. Do you just think, I'll go there, I'll go to Vegas next year and I'll earn some good coin?
I think that'll be the sad state of affairs, right? If you get athletes who have been banned by, for example, athletics or by other sporting bodies, if they just go, well, I was going to be banned for 4 years, I may as well just join the enhanced games and go for it and actually get more money from like commercial sponsorship deals and from prize money stuff. I think it is a sad state of affairs, to be honest. You could contrive the argument that, okay, well, if you had this level, then the people who would want to cheat will go there, and therefore, athletics, which is our main concern, but the other sports would then be cleaner because there wouldn't be as much of an incentive to cheat within the clean sport when you could just... But, I mean, you're talking about this is going to be a very small pool of athletes who they've got the mega amount of money for, so you're not going to get, like, the 1,000th and the 10,000th athlete getting, like, a living from it. You're only going to get, like, a very small, hyper-elite small number of people who are going to get... So I think, it just sets such a bad
Magnussen came out recently and said that he wished that he had been supported as a clean athlete like he is being supported by the enhanced games. He said the medical system that they've got in place, the salaries that they've got, he feels like he has an entire team by him from the enhanced games team. And it's something that he wished that he had as a clean athlete. So I'm just going to bring up Travis Tiger, who is the CEO here of the US Anti-Doping Agency, called the Games a shame and a wake-up call to the guardians of Olympic values. It's time to step up and fix the world anti-doping agency system and ensure safe, fair and worthwhile sports for all. Athletes will be drawn to the enhanced games to find money and a level playing field. So we've got the CEO of US Anti-Doping admitting there that they don't pay their athletes and it's not a level playing field.
Well, IAAF and the IOC, they need to double down. Like in athletics, they need to double down on, like, I know we've mentioned before, but Kenya. They need to double down on Kenya and just eradicate it.
They're not doing it.
Because, well, they're not, are they?
They're not doing a thing.
So I listened to a podcast with Jake Shelley on it the other day, and he does a lot of work in the drugs testing industry for cycling and also dipping into athletics. And for those who don't know, Jake Shelley I'm sure he's like a sub-14 5K runner. So he's a good athlete, but had an interest in like biomedical science, and he progressed his career in that. Now, one thing that he was saying that struck me, when they ban a nation from competing like they did with Russia, it's when it's a state-organised doping program. That's why they ban them. The difficulty is with Kenya is because they have no evidence or indication that it is a state-run program. It's just a lot of individual athletes, so banning Kenya as a whole becomes difficult. And I've been the same mindset as you. I'm like, well, just stop them. They've got this much going on. There's got to be something in it. But, you know, I listened to him and, he made a real interesting point, and that's his field of work. And I thought that's interesting that that standpoint is created, and I can see why.
Yeah. But we do have a huge doping issue in athletics and in sports in general. Just a couple of stats here. So there was research which was commissioned by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. Their research showed that 44% of Olympians admit to drug taking.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In some study done by UK anti-doping agency, they estimated, I think it was 13% of UK athletes will be taking some kind of performance-enhancing drugs. So the British think that we are clean athletes, that we are rise above it all, and that we are a clean air. We absolutely aren't. We've got 13% of athletes which are, according to the UK agency, take performance-enhancing drugs. US is a similar one. They estimate around about 10%. But this is athletes that admitted. So this was a study that they did, and it was anonymous survey. Sorry, not a study. And 10% of athletes actually admitted to taking performance-enhancing drugs. That's just admission. Imagine the number of athletes that haven't ticked the yes. Do you know what I mean? So we've got a huge drug issue. At least the enhanced games is a bit of, well, you know what? Everybody's open to it. This is if you want to take performance enhancing drugs, if you want to earn a decent salary, doors open.
What? Only for a very, very small few, though. I think that's the message that people need to get. You're going to have a very small handful of people who it's funded by a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, but he's still only going to do it for about 10 athletes, right? It's not going to be for thousands and thousands of athletes. So I think you're going down a dangerous path if you're thinking that's the way in. What will be interesting in terms of the actual performances is to see which athletes make the huge gains. So the guy who's just broke the 50 meters freestyle, for example, he was already an Olympic medalist, or certainly up there, Olympic finalist, right? So you're already talking about somebody who's hyper elite, and then he's made a marginal improvement. You've got one of the Australian guys who has been at the top and is older now. So is that drug take and then going to actually give him more years at the top and bridge that gap? I don't think it's like the person who's 500th load them with a load of gear, and then they go and break the world record. They probably still haven't naturally got it, but that would be an interesting study in itself.
Yeah.
But I think one of the issues with the drugs, right, in sport, if you just make it a free-for-all, it becomes who responds best to the drugs rather than who's the best athlete, which we've had in cycling and stuff in the past.
Yeah. What sports are in it?
So you've got athletics. So far, they've announced just the 100 metres for next year's event. You've got swimming, you've got weightlifting, gymnastics, and I believe it's either boxing or MMA.
Is it?
That was the one I was thinking. So like you're getting a combat sport in.
Yeah.
That's when it goes up a notch as well for me, because you're putting your hands on someone.
Someone's going to die.
You could potentially kill them. You look at the way that the sport of boxing itself, the outrage when boxers are caught with failed drugs tests, it causes a massive stir in the boxing community. So because of that, their point is you can kill somebody in that ring. So, for that to be allowed in it, that's like shocking on another level. I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, I think it's one that you'll not be able to avoid the noise, but I personally think the novelty will wear off.
We shall see, Chris. We shall see.
So I think it's a wider discussion though, because it's not just about performance enhancing drugs. So there's reasons why the US can host it, because it's not actually illegal in the US to take performance enhancing drugs. Whether in the other case of Europe, in the UK, if you take performance enhancing drugs, you can actually go to jail for it. You don't go to jail in the US, so that's why they're more open to it. I think it's more of a discussion. You have a look at some of the backers and the founders of this. You've got one of the major backers is Donald Trump Jr. You've got another backer of Peter Thiel, who was the founder of PayPal and I want to say Facebook. I think he had involvement in both of those. So you've got major money. You've got people which they're not dumb. They're not stupid.
It's a freak show. It's an exhibition.
It is, but it's when you look, and it intrigued me with the Trumps being involved. I think this is more of a political and an economic move, to be honest, for the US. More of a financial discussion. Pharmaceuticals is one of the biggest industries in the US, and they're trying to, and they said during the campaign for the Trumps, they actually said that they wanted to push more manufacturing into the US, drive it away from other countries. So I think this is more of a political and economic move. The pharmaceuticals industry to America is worth like 2.1 trillion to the US economy per year. So I think you've got smart people who's backing this, rich people. I think it's the impact that it can have on maybe the wider audience, life longevity. Brian Johnson, for one, is into all of these body hacks, biotech, this sort of thing. And I see it more impact in that world than the sports world.
Yeah, I think from what you've just said there, reminds me of something that I've thought about before. Like I've listened to an argument about like Formula One, like the enhancements that they make to the cars. They push things to the extreme, but then 5-10 years later, you see that on the production line because the work out how to have a more economical engine, how to use an electric version of the engine better, they push the limits. So you could make the argument that, do they work out how to make a better human, a superhuman, and that then has a knock-on effect in everyday healthcare down the line. But these people are being used as guinea pigs, so yeah, the ethical, if they want to put themselves on the line, then it's up to them, I guess.
Yeah, it's their body, their choice.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A discussion which I think we will continue throughout the year as we lead up to the Enhanced Games in Vegas in May 2026. The next thing I think we should talk about is, our group chat has been off the rails recently with how much we're talking about this, but Grand Slam, we're going back to Grand Slam. What's your thoughts, guys? We've just had the latest one at the weekend. It was Philadelphia. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we spoke about this quite a bit. We like the idea in terms of, the different presentation. I said from the start, on the other shows, that I wasn't sold at all on the format and suggested like loads of different things that I thought would be a better way. I'm still not struck on the format. Like, it works now and again, like the 800, 1500 worked well this weekend. But yeah, overall, I think they've got the format wrong. It therefore hasn't engaged the fans. The Diamond League's come out all guns blazing. It was a fantastic brand new stadium in Rabat, 25,000 sellout. The atmosphere was really good. So yeah, I think there was lots of good come from it, but I think with it being a closed shop and then the multiple races in the same weekend, and yeah, they've tried to do like too much all at once. Lots of good innovation, but they need to have a bit of a rethink if they're gonna do it. Change the format up, and yeah, dust themselves off and go again, because I think they've taken a bit of a hiding, really, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like there's some positives to take away from it, though. Like you said, this weekend I thought the 8 and 15 worked well. I thought the 4 hurdles, doing the 4 flat as well, works well. 110 hurdles, doing the 100, then the 1s and 2s. Like, that format did work for me. I like the single 3K race as well. I think where Grand Slam is lacking for me is the volume of runners in the fields. Yeah. I like the racing, though. I like the unpaced racing. There's something that I just gravitate towards, the enjoyment and the thrill of where that race is going to go. Like Arup hitting the front with 2:50 to go. I enjoyed that. He wouldn't have done that in a Diamond League because he wouldn't have been in a position to do that in a Diamond League, I don't think. So there's that. I also like the way that they did actually change their format. They're listening to what people are saying.
They're open.
So I'm cool with that as well. It is their first year, so I don't want to jump on them too much, because I think I imagine they're going to go away and change this format again. And so I think that the sport, I do think that the sport needed Grand Slam to do this, though, because I think in turn it's given a new avenue. I enjoyed it this weekend. It's also pushed the Diamond League to be better. And I think when I watched Rabat, I realised when you get a good Diamond League, you do really get a good Diamond League, and it delivers. And if you look at Rabat as well, this is something I always think about. I'm getting right into this now.
He's leaning forward.
I know, yeah. And another thing.
Watch your...
No, something I noticed about Rabat, right? There was only, one or two Brits in it. Bergen was in the 800. I don't know whether there was any other Brits competing. I was invested in that Diamond League, though. And I think when you've got a Diamond League that can draw you in like that with international fields and 1 GB representative, I think, well, that's doing something, because I'm all in for this. And I'm haven't even got the home athlete interest in that.
And that's the thing about Grand Slam, is that it's so American. Nothing against the Americans, but it's not a very international audience at all. So in terms of, you've got some amazing athletes across Europe and Asia. They're not invited. It's very, very Americanized. And that audience is very small. I just found the thing for me was the amount of bloody adverts. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. I ended up switching it off, because there was the 400. We had 50 seconds of coverage. They don't do any interviews with the athletes. There's no real analysis of it. Then they go to 3.5 minutes of adverts, and after a few races, I turned it off. Yeah,
I do think that, like you've basically said, it's a catalyst for change, which is good. But then from Rich and then Stacey, from what you've just said, what they still haven't done is really engage the audience and give them the wow factor and really explain what is going on in these races. Like, why is this exciting and why is the performance really good? And there was something from one of the shot putters, I think it might have been Ryan Crozer or something, had said, often the problem with athletics and how it's presented is, you might get a Diamond League and the shot put, and you're just seeing first to eighth, and people's reference when they're watching that is first great, eighth rubbish. But actually, these are the top 8 guys in the world. So he was saying, and I had a rant about long jump or whatever ages ago, right? He was saying a similar thing in that what would be better is if you had this like engagement where you got everybody to pick, loads of people a chance to just pick up a shot outside the stadium or inside the stadium or wherever it was, and they just chuck it, and they realise that they can only throw it about, they were Americanised, so 10 foot, so they can probably only throw it about, people can throw these things about 3-4 metres because of the weight of a cannonball. And then you're going to get, or maybe they get some rugby guy who can chuck it a little bit further and gets it about 20 feet. And then they should beforehand have like a national level meeting beneath the Diamond League. So, it's a 6-hour program. You've got that national level and people will be there watching going, oh, bloody hell, those guys were throwing like 30, 40 feet. And then the Diamond League comes on, they're chucking it 65 foot, like 23, 24 metres, and people will be going, what the hell, like how are they throwing it that? And then your reference frame is 8th person is unbelievable. Winner is like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. Like somebody's thrown that far. The same with, if they had loads of good graphics, but they haven't got the ones that the general public are engaged with. So those who are on, Strava, they're looking at pace per kilometre, things like that. So if they're seeing the race and it's like the pace per kilometre, they'll be going like, whoa, how are these guys running that fast? But they had loads of good graphics, but they were like a bit weird. They didn't really tell you anything about the race.
I don't know whether it was the track at the weekend though, but what done me in is no 400 splits. Yeah. Did you notice that? There was no 400 split.
What is that?
So I was relying on Crammy to say, they've gone through 462 there. But you always get you get a lap split. There wasn't any. No. I was like,
what's going on?
Yeah, they've changed it to like how many metres to go to the race. So they've obviously thought, okay, well, look, people can't do the quick math and realise what, like a 63 followed by a 67, then a 57. Like, what is that going to equate to? So they've obviously thought that's info overload, but we'll give them different stats. But I don't think it's the stat that's the most engaging. For me, it's the pace. So you could either give it in kilometres per hour if it was in Europe, or miles per hour if it was in America. They did both measurements. Or they can do the if it's for a speed event, because then people can go, wow, that's like nearly as fast as my car. But for the distance events, it needs to be the pace per kilometre, because that's what most people are using now. That's their frame of reference.
I think one of my just takeaways from that, Gabby Thomas put something out, I think it was this morning, just saying that, because I think she got beaten both. Did she get beaten both races?
Yeah, she did, yeah. World lead in the 100 as well by the girl that won it. She
said that she was feeling the fatigue already from back-to-backs, and that's my biggest concern, because we've got world champs back end of September. These athletes have got a long, long time, and I think this could lead to burnout, over-racing, and actually not performing at the major champs, and that's where the money is. They
could have done this as a one-er. So the way that they've got it now, over the multiple day, multiple races thing, they could have done it as a one-er if it was just one venue, one weekend.
And done it really well.
The way that they've done it now, they should have done the other ideas that we've said and have people race less. And it's been good. It's generated a lot of noise.
Yeah, I think mainly high percentage of that might be quite negative. But I honestly, I love the field events. I really do. And that's why I think for me, Diamond League is still winning over Grand Slam. What about yourself? Who's winning? Diamond League or Grand Slam?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any denying that Diamond League are doing it. They're doing a cracking job still, and they've for me they've gone up a notch, and I think Rabat really showed that. So yeah, intrigued to see how it plays out. I don't think Grand Slam's done though, and I think it needs to go away, have a rejig, and it can be good. There's positives to take from it, definitely.
Yeah, one thing that's really annoying about the Diamond League is trying to find it. So it used to be, you could watch it on Eurosport or you could watch it on the BBC channels, but on that, I don't know if it's just me, but I have to navigate for ages to try and find the Diamond League on the iPlayer. It's like you've got to go in and then go to the sport category and down. It's not just it's not there. It's really difficult. So BBC have paid for it, but then they're not really telling you that it's on.
They're not advertising it at all. Maybe that's a deliberate tactic. I don't know. Right. Thank you so much for joining us again on another Top Flight episode with me, Stacey, Rich and Chris. If you would like to go and watch some of or listen to our other episodes, you can go back. We are all on the podcasts, everything from Apple, Spotify, and also, of course, on YouTube. And please remember to comment and subscribe and like and all of that jazz. We would really, really appreciate it. And until next time, see you then.